You are listening to the Healthy Leader Podcast with Tracy Fisher, episode number 25.
Welcome to the Healthy Leader Podcast, where it's all about optimizing your health, energy, and performance for your mind and your body. And now, your host, Master Coach Tracy Fisher.
Hello, and welcome to this very special Healthy Leader Podcast. Thank you for listening in and sharing your time with me and, drum roll, daring to create great. Yep, that's what we're going to be talking about, creating great. And this is truly a very special podcast for several reasons. And one of them is because this is the 25th podcast. I'm super excited about that. Woohoo! I'll tell you what, it takes a lot to put a podcast together, more than I ever thought. So I wanted to say a special thank you to you for your immense support, for your notes and your messages, and for rating the podcast. If you have rated the podcast, you definitely are special. We've got thousands of listeners now, and with just a few ratings. So if you are showing the love like that, I really appreciate it. And if you haven't had the chance to do that, I would love for you to do a review. And I made it really easy to do that with a link in the show notes. And we also have another really cool way that we can connect. And basically, you click on a link and you can leave me a voice message. You can leave questions or comments and let me know what would help you and how I can continue to support you and help you continue creating great. And that brings us to the second reason that this episode is special. It's special for me, and it is going to be special for you too, because this concept of creating great is foundational to the work and play, I like to say, that I do at the Wellness Coach and with the Healthy Leader programs. And it's also the work and play that I do in my own personal life. And I have been going through some personal challenges. And as you know, we all have been witnessing national challenges with politics and with COVID, and then international challenges. And there's just a lot going on right now in our world. And there's a lot going on in our personal lives too. I tell you that I have been having many conversations with people who also have been experiencing some serious challenges and setbacks. And we're talking about big things, quote unquote, like jobs and careers and not moving up or not getting the right job, or huge financial issues, serious health issues, relational issues, losing loved ones. All of this can seem really heavy. And in the midst of that, when all of that is going on, let's not forget that these issues fall on top of what's happening in our normal lives, right? Even if nothing, quote unquote, big is happening in life, it all by itself can feel overwhelming and chaotic. It can feel like something is always disrupting or interrupting our lives. And in the midst of that, trying to get a hold of our health or to reduce drinking, eating healthier, reducing stress levels, trying to do that can feel really difficult. Now, if you have ever had a plan, whether it's to eat better, go to the gym, get caught up on projects or work, or you've decided you want to spend more time with loved ones, and then life gets in the way, you know exactly what I am talking about. It can feel like there's never a right time. Because of the times that we are in that are unprecedented, I guess we always say that, but it certainly feels that way. This Creating Great podcast is all about how you can, in the midst of it all, be the very best version of yourself. It can feel hard to just survive, never mind trying to thrive and creating great in the midst of it. But I'm here to tell you that I believe that you can, and I am practicing it with you. Now, we are also just finishing up talking about time and optimizing it and managing it in our Healthy Leader Inner Circle. And one of the very key elements that we talk about is just being aware of time and how it is passing. And specifically, being aware of the present moment and recognizing that the present moment is truly the only moment that we can create, no matter what is going on. So if you haven't already listened to podcast number 14. The title of that is This Is Your Moment, and it's all about the present moment. I highly recommend that you go back and listen to that one, and also listen to the past two episodes that are about taking your time back. So today I want to focus on how you can, in the midst of, we're just going to call it life, keep on keeping on, how you can, how I can keep creating great when it doesn't feel like we can. So I want to start off with defining what creating great even means. So you have heard me say it before, I am sure. I pretty much say it at every podcast. And I also sign off my emails with create a great day or let's create together. And I say that on purpose. And I say it also specifically instead of have a nice day. And I want you to know that I don't just say it professionally. I say it personally. I say it when I'm in the grocery store or the post office or saying goodbye to my friends. And I get it. I get that it sounds a little strange, but I don't care because I say create a great day on purpose. And one of the reasons I say create a great day is because creating is very, very different than having. Having a nice day is passive in a way to me. It's almost like saying, I wish that good things will happen to you today, which I do. I absolutely do. I certainly do. And I also want to remember that no matter what is happening, no matter what is going on in life, that we are the ones that are creating. I am creating my life. You are creating your life. And my focus personally and professionally is always on what we can do, what we can create with what happens and with what we have, what life has given to us. And I really like the idea of thinking of our days and really of our moments as blank canvases. And every single day, every single moment, we have the opportunity to create. So that's the first part, that creation is really understanding that you, right where you are right now, whatever it is that you are doing right now, that you are the creator of your life and that you are constantly creating, even when we don't know it, and that you are responsible. You are responsible. You are the expert of you. You are not a victim to your circumstances. I am not a victim to my circumstances. We are the artists of our lives. And we are the artists in creating whatever it is that we want to create. We are amazing human beings who have amazing brains. They're so amazing that they can't be duplicated, right? You can strategize, you can think, and you can change the way that you think. You can notice that you are having emotions. You can be aware of that. You can analyze them. You can create them. You can choose to create in every single moment. You can create a new person. You have the ability to do that. I think that's just amazing. So that's the creation part. You are the creator. And then I use the word great on purpose for two reasons. And the first reason is because I don't want good or fair. I want great. I want excellent. I want to be considerably above the normal or the average. That's what I want. I don't want perfect, but I want great. I want to live a great life. And here's the thing. The definition of great is different at different times. It's different at different times in your life. It's different when you're younger than when you're older. It's different than when you are searching for a job or when you feel secure in your job. It's different when you have young children or when you have older children. It's also different when you are facing challenges, whether they are national or international, or whether they belong to your job or your profession or to your family or just to you. So the definition of great depends on what you are facing. So I have worked with people who are like, listen, great means that I am running 10 miles, 5 days a week. I'm going to reduce my body fat to below 15%. I'm going to increase my energy levels exponentially. I'm going to double my income. And I am just going to create great. Way big, audacious goals. Love it. And I've worked with people who are like, listen, great for me right now would be not stressing out. Great for me right now would be not binge eating. Great for me right now would be not yelling at my children. And I've also worked with people who are like, you know what? Great for me right now would be living until my child graduates from high school. It would be not feeling like, pardon my French, total ass from chemo. That would be great. And it also can just be you deciding that you're going to follow through and do what you said you're going to do. Get up early and work out or meditate and pray. Find time for you before your day just totally takes off. So great gets to be defined by you right now, wherever you are in your life. And there's no judging what that great means. We are different in different parts of our lives. People are different from one another. So do not compare yourself to other people's great and figure out what your great is. Now, another reason that I wanted to do this special podcast is because I was just on vacation. And right in the middle of that vacation, I found out that there is a pretty big issue with someone who I love dearly, who is facing a very serious health challenge. And I'll tell you what, it kind of threw me off balance. It is right now. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice or not. But I tell you what, I was shaken out of my la-di-da-da, and I went from a normal life, if you will, to panic, to sheer panic. I started freaking out about what could happen, what might happen. And I tell you what, I wanted to jump right in and take charge and do things right, according to Tracy's view of the world. And my heart was definitely in the right place. But what I noticed, what I felt, was that I certainly was not creating great. I wasn't even creating good. I was creating panic. Now, I wasn't saying things out loud that were panicky, but I had the energy of worry and anxiety. And we all know that when you're around somebody who is like that they are different. And I was different. The thing is that anyone in the world would understand that if you get a diagnosis, or if somebody you love gets a diagnosis, or if you lose a job, or you get bad news, or even when things just start piling up and you feel like you can't get your head above water, we for sure want to respond and have emotions about it and to talk about it and to be real and to be authentic and to be vulnerable. We want to be able to let loose and talk about what's going on. I have several relationships with people where we can call each other up and just say, hey, listen, I just want to talk. And we call that going in the cave, where we just go in the cave and let it rip. We just let loose and say whatever is going on in our minds so that we can get it out of our bodies and allow ourselves to be real and to express ourselves and to blame and complain and defend and get all of that out. I understand that. And that is especially helpful when there's something big going on, or when life is piling up, when things are just going one on top of the other. Like, okay, I already was having a bad day, and then the dog threw up, and then I lost the work that I was trying to get done on my computer, and then I started crying, and then my kid threw a temper tantrum, and then I was late to a meeting, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We want to be able to talk with people and to share all of it, the big and the little. It's awesome to commiserate with one another, and it's really good because we create connection. We strengthen our relationships. We get to experience empathy and compassion and support. And at some point, we get to decide, and we get to decide whenever that is for us, when we're going to step out of the cave and figure out what we're going to create. And if we can, and I believe that you can, how we can create great in that moment. And in order to know what great is, we need to know that we're in that moment. Those moments are super quick and they can pass by and we can blow through them unless we're conscious of them. And that is for sure not always easy to see. It's not easy to slow down and become conscious and to take advantage of those moments, especially when we feel like our world is swirling. It's really easy to just stay in the cave and be in fight or flight and just feel like you're never going to get ahead of it. But those moments are the exact, and I mean exact, the seconds. Those are the moments that we need in order for us to create our great, to level up, to be the best version of ourselves. And the best question to ask in those moments is, who do I get to be? Now, I use that question on purpose. Who do I get to be? I also used to say, who do I want to be? And that's an important question as well, but I really like framing it as in, who do I get to be? Because when we ask that question, inherently, we are reminded that this moment is an opportunity for us to create great, for us to be the best version. We get to use this moment as an opportunity. And that's the exact question I asked myself when I was going through that experience over vacation. And as I was thinking about it, I had this just deep realization that time is short. You know that saying, life is short? Well, it is. And it's not just short for people in their 90s. It's short for people in their 20s. We just do not know what life is going to bring us. And this past month, as we've been talking about how to maximize our lives, what we're really talking about is maximizing the time that we have left in our lives, the time we have left to feel fulfilled, to make a difference, to be the best version of ourselves. And even though life is short, it's also not, because we can, in those moments, slow time down. We can back out. We can ask that question, who do we get to be? An interesting piece is that we all have a tendency to think about being the best version of ourselves, or starting life, if you will, after we get through this challenge, after we lose the weight, after we get the job, after this issue is over, or after I get over what you said to me, or after I get through this financial season. We tend to think that we're going to start then, and time just marches right on by as we're thinking about this. I hear people say this all of the time. They're like, listen, I know that I really need to get healthier, or I need to focus in on reducing my stress levels. Or I really want to work on this relationship, but I'm not going to be able to do it right now. So I want for you to think about what great means for you right now, as in right now, right in the middle of whatever is going on for you, whatever your life looks like right now. So if you have a goal to be healthier, or to improve a relationship, or to show up better in some way, you absolutely 100% have the ability to do that right now. It takes practice. It takes rewiring your brain and getting out of your normal response or reaction. But don't let the pace of your work schedule, or challenging news, or overwhelming projects or people, or particular things that are going on in your life right now stop you from creating your great. And again, you always are creating something, but sometimes we're not aware that we're creating. I wasn't aware initially that I was creating panic. And so the key is right there in those moments when you start to feel panic or overwhelmed, is to ask that question, who do I get to be? And to become conscious of how powerful you are right in the middle of whatever is going on. We've trained ourselves to think that we're at the mercy of our jobs, or our family, or politics, or late airplanes, or the economy, or gas prices, or the stock market, but we are not. And so that begs the question, all right, well, how do I, in the midst of life, create great? How do I create my great? And that takes us to the second meaning, if you will, of the word great. And it really has to do with the literal spelling of the word great. So as a side note, I want to tell you that when I was little, I'm talking really little, I used to write out this one phrase over and over again. And the phrase was, Tracy the Great. I'd write it everywhere. I'd write it on my notebooks and any piece of paper I could find. And I distinctly remember doing it in cursive. So I must have been like in the, third or fourth grade, whenever you learn cursive. I loved writing those fancy T's with the swirls, and then the fancy G for great. And I would just cursive out Tracy the Great. And I distinctly remember one of my sisters pointing out to me that I really wasn't that great because I didn't know how to spell it. Yep. I was spelling Tracy the Great. Tracy, I did spell that correctly. The G-R-A-T-E. Yep, Tracy the Great. So in my defense, I did have all of the right letters. They just were in the wrong order. And here's what I mean by that. Great, when I think about it now, stands for something. It's actually an acronym. And it stands for generating results with emotions, actions, and thoughts. So you can see that the word great is pretty much the Wellbeingness Model. It is the model we use for self-leadership. The self-leadership tools are right in the middle of that word, great. So when I say create great, I'm talking about using self-leadership tools to actually create the result, the great that you have defined. And I'm very quickly reminding myself about self-leadership. And now I'm reminding you about self-leadership and your ability to create, to be the artist of your life, to define what those results are that you're generating, what great means to you in that moment, and to simultaneously use your self-leadership tools. What you are creating in any moment when you create great is deciding how you are going to act. It is you managing your mind and your thoughts. It's being aware of your emotions and managing and maximizing them on purpose. That is the work that we do. That is the playing that we are doing in life. That is what we do in our Healthy Leader programs. We practice over and over again using those self-leadership tools that you always, always, always have with you. You learn how to manage your mind and have increased emotional intelligence and take your right action in the midst of life, in the midst of whatever is going on. And when you know that you have the ability to create great and that you are the artist and that you are responsible for it, we can no longer use the world, use our experiences, use what has been brought to our doorstep as an excuse to be anything other than great. Now, I want to reiterate here that I am not ping painting here. I am not suggesting that when you receive bad news that you're like, woohoo, rainbows and unicorns. That's not what I'm saying. That's one of the reasons I purposely told you about the cave. We need one another. We need to be authentic and vulnerable. And we also, in all of those moments, have the ability to choose who we want to be. So in order to do that, to practice creating your great, first and foremost, we have to be conscious about what's going on, to be aware, self-aware, to notice when we're not creating great, and to take advantage of those moments when we receive signals from our body, when our blood pressure feels like it's rising, when you can feel the redness in your face, when you're clenching your teeth, when your heartbeat starts racing, when we are in panic mode and we start to feel overwhelmed. Those sensations can be tiny little bells, little cues to say, hey, this is your moment. This is where you get to create great. And that is the first and most important step, is to be aware of those moments. And I don't want you to be aware of them so that you can beat yourself up about, what you should have said or who you should be or how you need to change or how you should be different. Those moments are there just so that we can say, aha, this is where I get to create different. And I think that the easiest way to do that is to be aware, first and foremost, how change actually takes place. And there are basically two pathways, if you will. And they have to do with what I call the internal environment or the external environment. And basically, the external environment is the world, everything except for you. And then the internal environment is you. It's your self-leadership. It's the things that you do have control over. So in the external environment, the external world, change is thrusted upon us. We get fired, or somebody breaks up with us, or we lose money, or we get infected by COVID, or someone gets a diagnosis, or gas prices rise, or inflation rises, or there's a potential for Roe v. Wade to get overturned. And that's another reason I wanted to do this Creating Great podcast. Not because of Roe v. Wade, this isn't political, but because in the midst of all of that, no matter what side you fall on or how you would prefer for things to go, you always have a choice of who you're going to be in the middle of that. And we have all seen how crazy it can get where people in the same families or in the same friend groups are fighting with one another over these external events. And that's not to say that they aren't important or that we don't want to have good debates with one another, but it is to say that even in the midst of major issues, all of them, especially in them, we are still creating. And that segues into the second place where change happens, and that's in the internal environment, and that's you. And so no matter what the world creates, it always comes back to you and your internal environment and how you are going to create given that change. And so you can create in the midst of what life has given you. And then we also create in terms of leveling up and saying, hey, no matter what's going on in the world, I want to level up and to be the best version of myself. And that's the work that we do in the Healthy Leader. We help people level up mentally, emotionally, and physically to improve their health and their energy and their performance no matter what the external environment gives them, the focus is always on that internal environment. It's always on creating great, generating results with emotions, actions, and thoughts. Now, I generally talk about it in terms of T, because it goes in that order. We have thoughts, and then we have emotions, and then we have actions. And we go into detail in the inner circle and in training, but the general gist of this is that all three of those tools you have access to at any time, and you can use any of them to be the best version of yourself. And what ties all of this together is the understanding that you are the creator of your life. Whether you are actively attempting to handle what's going on with the external world, or whether you are trying to put more dollars in the bank, lose weight, be kinder to people, start a new business, create a multi-million-dollar business, or get out of debt. Whatever it is that you are creating, whatever result that you are generating, however you define great, the attainment of that result is not the point. The pursuit of it is. The pursuit of it is you pursuing who you get to be. And who you get to be is generated in your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions in that moment. And the way that you create great in those moments is that you become that person. You imagine yourself being right now the person who creates those results. You imagine that you have already generated those results, that you have already been the best version of yourself, and think about who you would have to be in order to live that life. How would you act? How would you think? How would you feel? And you have the capacity to be that person right now, way before any result is created, way before anything in the external environment is changed. All of the results that you want to create in your life, the things that you want to change or make better, the dream that has been calling to you, all of that, my belief is there so that you can create great in this moment, that you can become your great right now. So that's what it means to create great. So as you go along in your day, if you get stuck in traffic or somebody writes something snarky on social media, or you get some really bad news, as much as you can, first and foremost, reach out to somebody, get some support, be vulnerable and be authentic and be real. Go into the cave and be conscious. Be aware that you are the creator of your life, that you are the artist, that you are the expert of you, and that you have the capability to define who you get to be. Get clear about what great means for you in that moment. Ask that question, who do I get to be right now, when you are ready, when it's the right time for you? And then remember that you have in your artist tool belt, if you will, 3 really important tools. You have your mind, and you have your heart, and you have your actions, and you are in control of those in each and every moment. This is a practice. It's not easy to do, but once you have the framework and you have the understanding and you know who's in charge, then creating great becomes a way of life. And that's why this episode is special, because creating great is what I do in my life. It is a practice. There's a lot going on. And I am grateful that life has given me the opportunity to create in those moments. And this is special because I am so grateful to be able to walk alongside people just like you who are also daring to create their great no matter what is going on. So I feel especially connected to you. I always do, but I do right now. And my wish for you is that you can feel how connected I am to you, and that you do feel supported, and that you do go forth and create your day. Be present to the moments when you get to create change, where you get to be the person that you really already are, and that you live and you thrive and go beyond surviving. You have the ability to do that 100%. And I am so grateful to walk alongside you and to create great with you. So go forth and do just that, and know that I'm here for you. Hey there, if you are ready to take your well-beingness to the next level, come visit thewellness.coach, where I've got lots of free resources. And make sure that you type in thewellness.coach, not .com, and I will see you there.